Before we get into today's show, it's time Everyday Icon presented by Stance. In baseball, anybody can have a great night. What separates the best players is doing it again and again, staying prepared, battling through the grind all season long, and continuing to produce when their team needs them. And that's what Everyday Icons is all about. This week, I'm giving Jacob Mizorowski that title. Jacob Mizorowski has been the pitcher in baseball, putting together everything under the sun to become the best pitcher in the league. And it hasn't even been just one game. It's been consistency all season long for you know, making sure that nobody is hitting that man and just striking out everybody. The consistency is exactly why Jacob Mizorowski is this week's everyday icon. And the everyday icon is presented by Stance. Check out the icon collection from Stance, premium comfort, performance, and durability design on whatever day brings you. Use the promo code locked on and check out and get at checkout and get 20% off your first purchase. At Stance, the official sock partner of Major League Baseball. Learn more at stance.com. And look, you want uninterrupted, locked on fantasy baseball? I have a way for you. It is the Everydayers Club. You get full access to the show, but completely ad free. Links in the description below. All right, let's get back into it. Um, this is another fun one. What are the Angels going to do with Neto, shortstop for the Angels? All right. So Zach Neto is definitely valuable. There's a chance he gets traded. I think it's probably some sites are saying 30, some are saying 25. I think there's a good chance. I mean, what are they playing for, in all honesty, that they're even in consideration, right? Like, where are they in their division? They're last. They have 41 wins. Like, there's no shot at even making the wild card. And then you look at what their roster brings too, right? So let me pull that up. You look at their roster and you go, like, what is that team even going to bring to the table? In all honesty, because ah, there's no point even playing for it. So you look at what they got. They got Neto, Trout, Shangwell, like they're rolling out Adele, like Ohapi, bunch of meh, right? And Neto's great. Like, I don't think that he's the one they're going to build their team around. I actually see a path for the young Neto to get traded. He has, a year of control. He comes into comes into the trade deadline as a very valuable and obvious pickup for a lot of teams. Why wouldn't they want to trade him away? And that's kind of the other part. Like, where does he go? Because shortstop is also a premium. I think that, he can, if he gets moved, he's going places, right? Like, and it's probably a better situation where now if he lands on like the Braves, the Blue Jays, Twins, or Yankees, um, like especially like I would say the Yankees or the Braves, or like that is a home run changer for Neto. Like, think about that, right? Like Neto goes to a lineup where there's actually players around him where they're consistent, and Mike Trout has been healthy, don't get me wrong, but where there's more than one, he could, be comfortable in lineup, have a little protection, and then on top of that, get, rack up those counting stats. That's key. And that's a fantasy impact. And Neto is somebody that I think is that they can 100%, drain a little bit of assets on it no matter where he comes, right? Like, just got to think about it. Like, okay, if they do, you know, he's got 3 more years of control as well. So, like, he is very valuable to a team looking to trade for a young player who truly just fits the mold. Between the Yankees, if the Sox trade for him, which would be interesting, that means they continue their their win streak. But I don't see them dumping all their assets for him. But they're between the Blue Jays, Yankees, I think is the most realistic. I don't see how the Twins are going to get in the mix. but who knows? You know, who knows? I think, people are just throwing some stuff out there, see what hits the wall. But I do think that Neto is moved at the deadline as well. This next one is Byron Buxton. Buxton's a fun one because personally, he's probably the one that probably has the most likely chance of honestly staying. So he's cheap. Like his contract is 2 more years, pretty much up after 2028. It's at a little over $15 million a year. He makes the most sense contractual, and he also puts butts in the seats. So there is rumors of him being traded, and I think that from a standpoint of business standpoint of, do I trade him this year? No, because he's cheap and I still have control. So I think for this, I'm going to keep him and, not try and rebuild completely because there's still some hope there with, Royce Lewis and things like that. But, you know, control is also part of it because you think about, look at Luis Robert, for instance, right? White Sox are also a terrible organization, but they had control over him for 2 years for cheap. And therefore they waited like 2 years to actually trade him before, okay, like things started, not being where they're in a negotiable situation. And they're going to have to give him up anyway, as long as they got something back in return and made things better. So I can totally see that where Buxton at least stays at least through 26, maybe gets moved at the trade deadline in 27. So like, I think he's staying home, but definitely a name to keep an eye on because if the rumors start getting hot, it gets intriguing on both ends for fantasy baseball and for real baseball implications because depending on where he can land, that can get fun because I don't want him to go to the Phillies as a Philly fan as well, but he would be a great bat for that lineup, especially in center field, and he'd be a big bat, and that'd be good for fantasy. But just overall, his health is just always a scary part. Him going to the Braves would be devilish. That lineup is looking great, and him being added to that would be great. Him going to the Rays would also be awesome. Going to the Yankees, again, my other team, I really don't want it there. Rangers is also a nice fit. A young up and coming team, bringing the veteran. That I could totally see as well. But Rangers, oddly enough, with that whole team being hurt, is still tied for leading the division, and that is a key part. So like that they might get aggressive and go after a bat. They kind of need a bat. See, but the thing is though, they're rinsing and repeating two of the same kind of people. They're going to have Seager and they're going to have Buxton at that point. That I would not want as a liability standpoint. I'd want a little bit more of a solid bat in my lineup. Then somebody can stay healthy because between two of them, their medical insurance policy is just going to, double or quadruple based off of just their usage alone. Rangers are going to have to donate like a wing to the local hospital in Dallas just to make that a thing. But it's the truth here. So that is how I feel about Buxton. I don't think he's getting moved. But that's really it on him. Coming up next, there's also rumors of Joe Ryan getting moved, and that's another one that has some serious implications. Find out where he could possibly land right after this. Baseball season is here, and now you could trade on every game with Kelce. Instead of just watching the box scores, imagine trading on the moment you know is coming. That feeling when the hitter steps into the box and you can practically hear the crack of the bat before it even happens. And when a pitcher is locked in and you're thinking, yeah, he's just mowing everybody down tonight. On Kalshi, you could trade against peers in a live market. There's no house. It's just probabilities, moves, and you can buy and sell in and out of your position in real time. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app, use the code locked on, and get $10 when you trade 10. That's KALSHI. Kalshi, trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. From For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. And all right, let's talk about Mr. Joe Ryan, starting pitcher for them Twins. And there's a decent chance he also gets moved because he only has one more year after 20. So he becomes a free agent in 28. So this this is the perfect opportunity to trade him. Also, too, he's going to become well sought off of, and there's going to be some great packages. A lot of teams seem to be in on him. Cubs, Padres, A's, Braves, White Sox, funny enough, Nationals, Blue Jays, Cardinals. Now, here's the deal. Realistically, Nationals probably have one of the best, I would think would be the best fit. Young team, also trying to make a playoff run. I think that he'd be a great fit there. Cubbies is another one. That'd be awesome. A's, they're so banged up, but it would be nice to get like a really good starting pitcher in there. Diamondbacks will die. I just don't see it happening. Braves would be great for fantasy, hate it for baseball. But I mean, that'd be another arm in their lineup. They're hurt. Schwallenbach isn't due back probably till end of August. But now you got those two in the rotation. It does make things a little bit more dangerous, and gives them a better shot at winning a World Series. So I see it from a standpoint of the organization. Why and how does that affect your team? Well, if he goes to any of the top end teams I mentioned, obviously it's way better than you can expect on the Twins. I can tell you that win capabilities are going to be there, more quality starts, better defense behind them, and that's going to be key. So I really am feeling this Joe Ryan aspect of it too. I mean, Joe Ryan right now on the season has about 6 wins, which isn't great, and 130 strikeouts, which is phenomenal. But because of the team he's on, he's not going to rack up the wins. So it makes complete sense for the organization and would be the ideal outcome with Joe Ryan going to another team that actually can potentially win more games in the second half and make him that much more valuable. Next week, we got a full on Hunter Goodman. There's some serious rumors going around about him, but see how it's going to happen. So Goodman, he has 3 more years, so essentially he's not a free agent till 29, and for them to trade him makes no sense unless they're getting an insane amount of assets back because his season right now has been great. I got to say, and he kind of broke out last year. He has 31 home runs already on the season, plays catcher. So, I mean, teams are definitely looking for an edge and, hitting 258 on the season. Now, the thing is, for fantasy, I hope he does not get traded. I actually really don't think he does. Um, he leaves Colorado. I don't like the odds of him having the power. Now, he hits the ball hard. Like, I won't take that away from Goodman, right? Like, I'll pull up his Savant page, but like we've seen it so many times. Like Arenado hit the ball really well, but really hasn't had a season like he did when he played for the Rockies. Story did a little bit. I mean, you see it even when I'll throw. Dom would love this a little Tulowitzki action. Um, you know, he left that it wasn't as good either. So it gives me a little bit of hesitancy. even though he has great barrel percentage at 17.5%, a hard hit percentage of 46.5%. Like those parts are good, but I still got to see what it would be like. I don't want to see it. I just want the upside of the home runs. Let's put it that way. I think if he gets traded, it's bad for fantasy, bad for your team. Trying to trade him away if the rumors start getting real hot, I think is the move because him anywhere else but Colorado is just bad for his fantasy output, in all honesty. So this next one here is Casey Mize of the Detroit Tigers. Now, Mize is another one who I see his name being thrown around quite a bit as to him getting moved. And that's an interesting one for me because he hasn't really been healthy, but Mize over the last couple of years, but Mize has been good this year. But Detroit is selling like a crazy person, and he has a groin injury right now, but he's planning to make his next start. He's been fantastic with a sub-3 ERA on the season and 82 strikeouts and in 80 innings. Like he's looked like his old self, and he becomes a free agent after this year. So he's the perfect ditch right now, perfect guy to sell, and you're gonna get a good return on a team that's trying to win a World Series. So like the thing is like where is your best case scenario? Like Braves, obviously. I think White Sox actually would be a team that is going to probably get aggressive because it'll be a cheaper option than the others. Cardinals is in a bad out landing spot, either Rays too. Like I think he's not going to cost much. Like he won't. Like he's having a good season, but he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, I need your top prospects." Like no, like he's going to be a team that's going to be on a little bit more reasonable. But he'll step into a better situation no matter what. But it's not going to be crazy unless he gets pulled in as a depth piece to a really good team that they're trying to stir up their bullpen. Love to see him go to the Phillies, in all honesty. That'd be a great arm and probably a cheaper arm that they can definitely afford to go out and acquire. That's the move for them, in my opinion. But who knows? They don't make transactions at the deadline. It's frustrating. But that would be the move for them. But we'll see. I mean, he gets moved, it's going to be an instant upgrade no matter what. A little bit of protection gets taken away at home games, but he should be just fine. But guys, I got a little announcement too. So I got sick and tired truly of just like these fantasy platforms not having everything I needed, whether it was just, importing my lineups after a draft or just not having the rules that I want or being as fast or really clunky to manipulate. And I'm not going to name names, but I got so tired of it in my background, I decided to make my own. It's called Breakout Fantasy Sports. I'm giving early access to founding leagues for anybody that wants to join and do a football for this upcoming football season. It's a really great platform, and quite honestly, I'm listening to feedback. So if there's something you don't see, something you don't like, something you always wanted, make that make that recommendation and give me that feedback. There's an opportunity you're going to have influence over this platform. So join up, breakoutfantasy.com. Check it out. And that's it for today. So please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Yeah, excuse me. And do everything to share the show because we truly love bringing it to you each and every day. And check out our boy solely over at Locked On MLB, who puts on a great show giving real MLB coverage and going to be breaking down probably the MLB trade deadline as we get closer. So check him out. Peace out, guys.
You are watching Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
On today's show, Summer League is over, but the Hawks did not waste any time coming back to Atlanta and making a big trade on Sunday. We'll get into what the details look like, what's going out for Atlanta, what's coming in, future stuff, and more coming up.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 2287 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Sunday afternoon, and it is definitely an emergency edition of the Locked On Hawks podcast. And today's episode is brought by the folks at Odoo. Reorganizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo right now. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. And if you missed it, I did a show less than 24 hours ago after the Hawks closed up their Las Vegas operation with it was a long summer league, 2 cities, 2 weeks, and plenty to discuss. So please do not ignore that episode in full. But we have a trade to break down and react to and spend the entire episode on this Sunday afternoon. I've been on the phone for the last hour or so trying to get details nailed down and sentiments and all that fun stuff, trying to be a responsible reporter on this Sunday. But I will lead with the fact that the details are as follows. The Hawks are receiving Lou Dort and Ryan Nembhard in the trade. It's a 3-team deal. Dallas will be receiving Zachary Richeche, of course, as that's a headliner from Atlanta standpoint. And then Oklahoma City will get 3 second-round picks, at least from what I understand right now, a couple from the Hawks and 1 from Dallas. So the second-round pick discussion is ongoing. I might look at my phone a couple times during this podcast trying to nail down the exact final details of those picks and protections and years. I know there's been some reporting out there, but it's kind of been conflicting. So in the end, that might change the evaluation slightly, but the nuts and bolts is the Hawks are going to get Lou Dort and Ryan Nembhard and send out Zachary Richeche and a couple of second-round picks. That's the Hawks' only portion of this because Dallas got involved in part because they wanted Richeche, but also because Oklahoma City did not want to take money back for Lou Dort, so there had to be a third team involved, et cetera, et cetera. As you might expect, there's a lot to get to here. Overall, I want to lead with one thing that I think is a pretty clear reality, and that's that the Hawks are better in the short term by making this trade. Now, on the other side, there is plenty of debate to be had, and I'll go through this later in the podcast about whether this makes them better in the future, in a year or two. Candidly, I think I am higher on Zachary Richeche on July 19th, 2026 than most people are. I still think that there is a good player in there from Zach. Also, I think that I've been admittedly a little bit lower on Lou Dort than some, at least over at times in the last couple of years. I think maybe 2 years ago in particular when he was first team all defense. But I'm higher on Zach, lower on Lou Dort than some, and I will still say this very definitively. Lou Dort is notably better than Zachary Richeche right now, today, in July 2026. That does not mean that Richeche can't improve. I think he can. I'll talk about that later on in the podcast. That also does not mean that Dort is a perfect player, because he definitely is not. He has flaws, but Lou Dort is an established NBA starter who's played a lot of high-level basketball, playoff basketball, finals basketball, a title winner 2 years ago. He's made 423 starts over the last 7 seasons. He's been a full-time starter for Oklahoma City their entire, championship contending run the last few years. Is he an awesome player? No, but he, at the very least, you can be confident will be a top 6, 7, 8 guy on a playoff team today, because he just was that on a title-winning team 2 years ago, on a conference finalist last year. And honestly, you just can't say that about Zachary Richeche right now. And I said that again as someone who still kind of believes in Zachary Richeche more than others do, but it's clearly an upgrade in the short term, and that is at least I think being lost in some circles on this transaction so far that I've seen. Another thing that I want to at least note is that Zachary Richeche has a complicated and I would say interesting to unpack contractual situation, which is part of why he is being traded today. Obviously, no one's been on the record yet. As I'm recording this podcast in emergency fashion, it's not been announced. I know it's happening. People have confirmed it to me, but it's not been formally announced. There's not been quotes from anybody about the deal. And look, there's a lot of people insist on referring to Richeche as the number 1 overall pick, and they do so kind of disparagingly. I will always say it wasn't his fault where he was drafted, when he was picked. I said this on the show that day and many times after that he was probably never going to be the traditional understanding of a number 1 overall pick, and that was going to be unfair to him. And in some circles, it would be generally tough to discuss Zach Ricochet because I thought he might be a good player, but he was never going to be a star like that. I stand by all of that right now. That was always the case. Yes, is that a pick that the Hawks might want back? Of course. Part of this, by the way, is that the person in charge now, Auntie Soleil, did not make that selection. That always complicates factors and changes things a little bit. And there was no other slam dunk transaction to be made there. I know that people want Steph Castle now. Yes, he is better than Ricochet today, very obviously, but that was not really on the table back then. Donovan Clingan, sure, all that stuff that I don't want to relitigate today. I say all that because the one reason where he was drafted still matters beyond PR is that the contract that he got is the rookie scale, and it's expensive for a player that's not a clear starter already. So the Hawks had a 4th-year team option as part of that deal as all first-round picks.